These calls to pardon Derek Chauvin around the 5th anniversary of when he murdered George Floyd feel like provocation by people who don't like that for the past 6 months, Black Americans have been sitting back and taking care of themselves, that Black women have told us they are reclaiming their time, and they showed us that they meant it when they weren't at the Hands Off rallies. So it feels like these people are reaching for the lowest blow that they can think of to provoke a response, and they know that they're doing it under an administration that is itching for a reason to use military force against Black, brown, and other people of the global majority in the United States. Remember that Trump asked for a report on the southern border, including whether or not he should invoke the Insurrection Act, and although Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth did not recommend it at that time, if the summer of 2025 were to look anything like the summer of 2020, you know that he would. And I think even they know that if Derek Chauvin were to receive a federal pardon, it would be dangerous for him. He wanted to be in federal prison because he knows that he is safer in federal prison than he would be in state prison. And a federal pardon would not do anything to change his state sentence. If he had to serve the rest of his state sentence in state prison, it would basically be signing his death warrant. So I'm sure that Black and brown people already understand how important it is to not take that provocation to protest, but in the event that a pardon should come to pass, for all of the white people who have been wondering, how do we show in a non-performative way that we are a safe space for Black people? You'll show it by telling Black people, stay safe and stay at home. We'll be on the front line. Something that I see a lot in my comment section is people who are in such a hurry to miss the point and not hear the message that they abandon the critical thinking skills that I'd like to think they do possess in other areas of their lives, and they rush to counter with adjacent sounding arguments that are in fact irrelevant. Because in a video in which I refer to FBI crime statistics to say that a majority of anti-Asian hate crimes have been committed by white people, this commenter is attempting to counter with DOJ statistics about all crimes committed against Asian Americans. And while the statistics about all crimes includes the subset that are anti-Asian hate crimes, the two sets are not the same. As for Asians committing the most crimes against other Asians, this is true for every racial demographic in the United States. For every racial demographic, the race that commits the highest amount of crime against that demographic is its own. This is most pronounced first among white people, then Black people, and least pronounced among Asians and then Hispanics. And this has nothing to do with who is inherently law-abiding or who is inherently law-breaking. This is because in demographics that have large immigrant populations, like with Asians and Hispanics, there are a lot of people who do not want to engage in actions that would jeopardize their immigration status. And I hope it would be obvious that the reason why people have a tendency to commit the most amount of crime against their own is because we still have a tendency to live with and in community with people who match our racial demographic. So a lot of that crime includes the results of interpersonal disharmony. These are the fights, the physical assaults. Unfortunately, this includes domestic violence. A lot of crimes of opportunity include a proximity component. A lot of perpetrators of burglaries and thefts and trespass crimes commit those crimes in their own community. And especially in marginalized community, there are the crimes that result from lateral violence, where people direct their rage at their peers rather than at the external source of oppression. These are the people who feel powerless to address systemic issues and unfortunately wind up venting their frustrations on each other. To be honest, I'm surprised that you didn't frame this argument as the Asian community's biggest problem is Asian on Asian crime, but perhaps it's because you are only used to weaponizing the phenomena that every racial demographic experiences against Black people. So I generally do not drag grammar because I live in community with a lot of people with learning differences, processing differences, and who are English language learners. So I generally strive to hear a message and not use proper English to gatekeep communications. That said, all I can hear in my head right now is a Miss James-style response to this comment. Now, it's always funny when people ask me, do I know who was harassing Asians in 2020? Because, of course, I know not only statistically, not only anecdotally, but firsthand, that a majority of anti-Asian hate crimes and harassment were coming from white people. And it was instigated by Trump's irresponsible rhetoric surrounding the pandemic. In the most horrific cases, Robert Aaron Long, the Atlanta spa shooter, and Steve Zajonc, who attacked multiple Asian women across New York City in one day, were both white. And the Stop Asian Hate movement abruptly stopped in 2022 when Republicans stopped funding their misinformation campaigns scapegoating Black people for the rise in anti-Asian hate crime during the midterm elections. And ironically, once Republicans stopped funding that misinformation campaign, anti-Asian hate crimes started to decrease. So the good news is the emergency is over, and you can stop asking me about 2020 for the purposes of divide and conquer.
And accuse them of racism when they participate in their own safe spaces?
Please check out that creator's entire video. It's really good. And he's basically asking, how does it make sense that when people of color celebrate and empower each other in the safe spaces that we've had to create for ourselves due to the racism that we experience, we get accused of being racist? And I think it's important to keep in mind that when people of color are marginalized through racism, it's not expected that we create our own safe spaces in which we celebrate and empower one another, because racism is narcissistic abuse. For people who are racist, what they want and what they believe is that when they close the door in our face, we press our noses to the glass and we look in, because they want us to feel excluded and less than and envious. So they tend to get upset when they find out that not only are we not looking at them, not only are they not centered, but we have a bigger and better party going on outside, or we've taken our party to somebody else's house. That's when they say, why are you excluding me? Why are you creating division? And why are you being racist? And most of the time they don't even want to be included, because a lot of us are more than happy to include anybody who is not harmful. But it makes sense to a person who is racist that the only way they can recenter themselves is to play victim. Because when you're used to being centered, equality feels like oppression.